justification for me. And then after my justification, Paul says that he begins to exalt me.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Listen, I feel like I ought to tell somebody about when God begins to exalt you. I know you've been feeling like you've been stuck in this rut for quite some time now. But it's time now has come that God is about to begin to exalt you. It's only because you've been being tested, because you're at the end of a stage in your life. You feel like you've been going through hell and high water. But the time has come, baby, for you to be exalted out of the mess that you found yourself into. God says, now that I've justified you, now that I've justified you, now that I've justified you, now I'm going to glorify you. Now I'm going to lift you up.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to make your enemies your footstool. Now I'm going to make the people who are talking about you have to answer at you. Now I'm going to glorify you. Oh, God. Is there anybody that's excited that God is able to glorify you? That I do not have to stay where I am in my life? That this is just a process? Oh, I feel like I ought to tell somebody about another glorification that's going to take place when it's all said and done. When he calls my name, when it's my time to go, the Bible says that there's another glorification that's going to happen. I'll have to take off this corruption and I'll put on incorruption. Oh my God. The Bible says I'll meet him in the air. Paul ultimately is letting us know that there's a process. There's a process that you have to go through. And watch this, because of the process, Paul comes back in verse 31 and he says, so what shall we say to these things? What shall I say to my tribulation? What shall I say to my circumstance? What shall I say to my situation? What shall I say to the folks who done stabbed me in the back? What shall I say to the ones who are talking about me behind my back? What shall I say when I really don't even know what to say? Paul says, all you got to tell yourself is that if God be for me, then nobody can be against me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I will make it through this process. Whoa, God. You ought to touch two people and tell them, I will make it through the process. I will make it through the process. I know they told you was going to fail. I know they told you wasn't going to be nothing. I know they told you wasn't going to amount to nothing. But I come this morning to tell somebody that you will make it through. Ain't no devil hold you down. Can't nobody stop you. Can't nobody remove you. If God said there's a process and there's glorification, and you'll come through your process. Put your holy hands together and bless the Lord. Paul says there's a purpose for me. Not only is there a purpose, my watchman just told me to wrap it up. Not only is there a purpose, there's an invitation. Not only is there an invitation, but there's justification. Not only is there justification, but there's glorification. And so when I really began to look at my situation, when I really began to look at the mess that I'm going through, when I really began to look at all of my problems and my circumstances, the fact of the matter is that all I've got to say to those things is that if God be for me, 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 sometimes you just got to begin to speak to your own situation. If God be for me, situation you can't be against me. If God be for me, circumstance you can't be against me. If God be for me, hatred you can't be against me. If God be for me, racism you can't be against me. If God be for me, there is nothing that can stand against me. I feel like I ought to tell somebody that the reason why it won't be able to affect you is because greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. And so really, if I just begin to tap into myself, if I really just begin to look inside of myself, I'll find out that the answer really lies inside of me. The answer really lies inside of me. Because greater is he that is within me than he that is within the world. I don't know about you, but I'm glad this morning. I'm glad this morning that even though I'm going through a process, that there are some promises. 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 There are some promises that are attached to my purpose. Yes, oh God. Oh God. There is therefore now no condemnation. Listen, don't let the guilt of what happened back in the day keep you from getting to your purpose. Don't let the shame of what happened to you back then keep you from getting to your purpose. God says, I've got more that's required of you. He says, I've got a purpose for you. Before you were even here, I predestined some things in your life. And so if you can just keep moving, just keep walking. Oh, don't give up now. Don't give up now. I know it's getting hard. I know things look like they're crumbling down all around you. But God said, if I'm before you, nobody can be against you. Just keep walking, baby. Through hell and high water. Don't you give up. Because God says, I've got some purpose for you to fulfill. So this morning, we want an extended invitation. Because the fact of